You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. This is the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Patricia, and I'm here with my husband, Jason. Today, we're talking about our story and how we encountered or have encountered scams, false claims, superstitions, superstitions in the energy area, and with self-help programs and what to do about all of it. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, can you tell the audience, will you tell the audience, we'll go with that one, how's that? Will you tell the audience some of our experience with other seers and how we came to understand scams, false claims, and even superstitions?
Well, first of all, we didn't learn from a teacher. We got the information, and we would validate it by looking, seeing, and using our intuition and basically the ecosystem approach. So over 20 years, we've been working with clients, and they've said to us, "Well, you're the real deal." We've heard that so many times, and as a result, a lot of other psychics, mediums, and other intuitives came to us for help. And we could see the deep-seated traumas and struggles that these people had, because if you go back to 2 shows ago, we talked about the discovery, which was the 80%, that 80% negative energy in your essence, and how that affects everything. And so even if you can see, you still have that 80%, which affects your ability to interpret what you see. And here's the thing that we came to understand as we worked with other energy workers and seers. They're not more involved than the rest of us. They just have an ability, but that ability creates an opportunity in one area, but a gap somewhere else. And the most important thing that we've been trying to say all along is that the ability to interpret is the most important.
Wait a minute, let's back that up. The ability to interpret what you see or what you feel is the most important.
Exactly. Intuitives, we get sensory perceptions, based on other people's feelings in general.
Right.
But we have to interpret those sensations. And some people, interpretation requires what we call, and we talked about this on our last show, and if you didn't listen, be sure and go listen. It's really a great show about evolution and how we're not really growing as individuals. We think programming, if we program ourselves more and more and more and effectively, that creates growth, but it doesn't. Story. So you asked some of our experience with some of the other seers. Here's a story. He was a clairvoyant who had quite a following. He worked with a lot of people over the years, and he had quite a big client list of people that would come to him and ask for help. And he came to me because his I think it was his brother had been working with us, and his brother recommended us highly. So he came to me, but he said I remember this very clearly. He said to me, "The negative energies attached to me are so high level. I'm just worried that if you start to work on me, they'll rub off on you and they'll hurt you." Well, I know, and I saw it right away. It wasn't that these negative energies were so high level and they were going to hurt me. It was his arrogance. He was a 3 on the Enneagram.
And he was competing with you.
Yes, he was. It's we see this all the time with other. It's not that most people who are out there legitimately working as clairvoyants and mediums and even some psychics, they have the ability to see, but it's the interpretation that's so important. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about that more because when you work with someone else, here's the thing. Because of programming, we want other people to tell us what we should be doing. Programming says, don't go to your inner resources. Programming says, go to an expert, go to some sort of data, go to some sort of document, go to some sort of body of knowledge to tell you what you need to know. And what we're saying is you have to go inward first and use that ability first. And because of that 80%, go back to the Discovery show that we talked about, it's deeply, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Okay.
So, when we talk about scams and false claims, if we're going outside of ourselves for help, that in itself, that frame of going outside of yourself, using programming, going outside of yourself and saying, what should I do? That sets you up right then and there to be deceived, scammed, and even manipulated.
And I was going to say, and even a victim.
Yes. And we'll go through some of this in our next segment. But, oh my gosh, just that process of saying, okay, what do I need to know? What we try and help people with is not to have people come to us to ask us what the solutions are or how they should live their life, but to show them how they can do it for themselves.
Exactly.
And that's what makes the ecosystem approach stand out from almost everything else.
Mm-hmm.
We show you how to do it for yourself because this ability is natural to human beings.
Well, okay. So, Jason, talk a little bit more about our story and the discovery and the evolution. Talk a little bit more about that. Explain that a little bit more.
Okay, so if you've been following our story, we're doing like 10 shows, and we're almost at the end. But in the beginning, I knew there was something. I was here to do something important. That I was here to do something special, but I had no idea. And then I started looking at all the self-help, self-improvement, energy processes that I could. And that took like 20 to 25 years. I just went through everything.
Could you say you're a slow reader? Sorry. I couldn't resist.
I would do these things and
then you'd think about them.
Well, I try to apply them.
Right.
But the same me was still there. It didn't change me. I could have a positive mental attitude and say, "Oh, everything's great."
We all can.
Or I can, change my attitude, look at the world a little bit differently. But it didn't change. It wasn't what I needed to take that potential that I knew was there
and run with it, so to speak.
Exactly.
Well, and the other thing is that we all can change our attitude. We can change our perspective. We can do all kinds of things, but unless you start clearing away that 80%, you get stuck in being a sucker to,
or force it in one way and then be vulnerable in another.
Exactly. And when we get stuck being a sucker to the scams, even the scams in the books, buy this book and your life will be better. That's a form of a scam. Don't misunderstand me.
And there are a lot of sincere people out there that
Absolutely.
are trying to help people and say, well, if you only do this, then it'll get better. Mm-hmm. But that's not necessarily true for you personally. Right. And if you're listening right now and you're saying, oh my gosh, I'm trying to be better. I know there's something about me that I need to put forth in the world, but you don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look to us to tell you. Let us show you how to apply the ecosystem approach, which helps you uncover you.
Mm-hmm.
And it always works.
And by the way, how you do that is by going inward.
Exactly.
Yes.
We've had people that come to us and they try and make us the guru, and it never works.
Right.
And that's from programming, because we're programmed to go to the experts or go outside of ourselves.
Exactly.
So here's the thing. All data requires interpretation for validity, and that interpretation requires judgment and wisdom.
Okay.
So even if you're a scientist, you're listening right now and you're a scientific person or you're a logic-based person or what they call evidence-based, all the data points at the end of the process require interpretation. And interpretation is an intangible that requires a form of judgment and wisdom. And where does that come from? Inside of yourself. And how do you develop that? With the ecosystem approach, by clearing away the negative energy. So I'm gonna jump in with just a little bit of clarity here. What we're talking about is that when you know something is right or when you know something is wrong, and you're not using other people's programmings or other ways to do things. In other words, you're not using things of yourself, then it's very difficult to use your own intuition when you have a bunch of negative energy sitting on top of it. Yes.
And so what we're trying to get at here, the most important thing is that when you start using the ecosystem approach and you start removing the negative energies, the clarity that comes to you is awesome.
And it keeps going and it gets better and better
all
and
the
better.
time. So with that said, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Seers are not more evolved than the rest of us, and they struggle with interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Due to programming, many people have their intuition blocked and rely on others to see.
Okay.
And programming teaches people to look outside of yourselves for answers. That's the wrong frame. You have to look inside. Mm-hmm. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to develop your own resources to determine truth and what's best for you in the moment.
Okay. In the next segment, we're going to talk about ways to protect yourself from scams, false claims, superstitions, and even conspiracy theories. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
What would you do with the power of community? How do you create your own rituals? Tune into Living Your Gifts with me, Susan Huff, Ancient Applications for Modern Times, the second Wednesday of each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Our lives begin with the stories we are told and the stories we tell ourselves. Storytelling is the key. To learn more about me, visit livingyourgifts.com. That's livingyourgifts.com.
It's time to get your life back on Burn Bright Today with Jennifer Marcinelli. Tune in each month on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Learn to move from the darkness of burning out to the light of burning bright. Jennifer is redefining stress and the energetic causes of burnout, shining a light on process to get your life back. For more information about Jennifer and her work, visit burnbrighttoday.com.
Coming to you live on TransformationTalkRadio.com is the Brilliance Ultimatum. Time's Up with Claudette Rowley. Powerful conversations, practical innovations, and transformative solutions as Claudette and her guests delve into the possibilities and what she calls reality resistance. Join the cultural revolution and annihilate obstacles. Check it out at culturalbrilliance.com.
We remember a time when you could simply form a thought and it would manifest. The harmony was forgotten, but it is returning now. The Power of Inspiration and Awakening Radio with Juliet Griffin on TransformationTalkRadio.com each second and fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific will take you on adventures through the heart and spirit, exploring who we once were. This intuitive healer studied under the guidance of wolves, learning from their wisdom to master a higher frequency for a new state of mind. Visit OneTrueSelf.com.
How do you feel? Just okay? Well, how about you tune in and get ready to be more with the Healing Hour with me, Doc Martin, every third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. I'm ready for your questions, and I can't wait to help you find the answers. Every month, we'll have a new live call-in show with innovative topics and a powerful hour of healing. To learn more about me, visit DrSharonMartin.com. See you there. I'm going to be here. You won't want to miss it.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about ways to protect yourself from scams, false claims, and superstitions. This applies to conspiracy theories too. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, I don't understand. What do you mean by protect yourself from scams and false beliefs and so forth?
If you use programming as a frame in your life, you'll always be susceptible to scams because programming blocks your evolution, your free will, your ability to know what's good for you personally, and you'll always be looking outside of yourself for the answers when they're inside of you. See, here's the thing. In the energy realm, it's particularly susceptible to scams and false claims because people can't see energy. And the reason they can't see energy, for the most part, is because of programming.
Right.
So they look to other people who say that they have this ability. But we're saying with the ecosystem approach, we don't want to be the arbiters of what's true and what's not. We want you to ask for yourself. So let's go through some examples, and you'll probably this will probably
ring a bell or two.
Yes, if you've been in this arena for a while, you've probably this will ring a bell.
Well, I have a question first. Does this is what you mean by this, or at least part of it? When your mom came to live with us, this is after Jason's dad died, she came to live with us and she said, here, dear, loving, sweet son, take over my entire financial well-being. Okay, so he figured out that she had, and she was paying $10 here, $20 there, $100 over there to different organizations that said they needed her money.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and so is that the kind of scam you're talking about, Jason?
Well,
he'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that. We weren't even going to talk about that, but yeah, it is. I mean,
okay.
We're talking about energy specifically because that's what we're talking about now, and people that are listening right now probably have some sort of relationship to consciousness, new age,
awareness, spirituality.
Energy.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So, and that's really right for that because you're relying on other people to see for you.
Right.
And we're saying, well, take a different approach. See for yourself.
Yes.
And so let's talk about some of those examples.
Okay.
And by the way, some of the things that my mom was contributing to were scams. Were out and out scams. I looked them up, and they were just scams. But they had these.
But they were still getting their $20 to $100 a month from her.
The manipulations of dying babies and starving dogs, and anyways.
And by the way, we know those exist. Do not misunderstand.
Yes, we do, and there's some legitimate ones out there.
Absolutely.
But how do you determine what's legitimate and what wasn't? And she was just going by her strictly needing to feel good, which was a negative energy in her essence. So here we go. Here's one of the big ones. Channeling an evolved being from the other side for wisdom. So that wisdom may be completely valid. Frankly, unless you have evolution, you don't know who you're talking to when you're channeling. We channel all the time, but we try and really get clear about
who and what we're talking to.
And then we try and validate it. We don't just take it at face value. So, but here's the thing about that, okay? Even if it's all wisdom, is it the right thing for you in this moment that you need it?
Okay.
And the quick answer is no. The way you get what's right for you in the moment that you need it is by going inside and doing it yourself. Here's the other thing. Okay. This is a big one out there. The secret, which the basic tenet of the secret is that you attract what you think about. That's absolutely true. But here's the problem. It's a setup to program yourself because most people can't distinguish between what they force themselves to think, programming, and how they really think.
So you're talking about the difference between being authentic for yourself and being programmed.
If you want to manifest, that's exactly right. If you want to manifest a relationship, for example, but you hate the opposite sex, it's not going to happen. And so,
or it's going to be a really bad one.
It's going to be a really bad one. And people are usually, that negative energy, that 80% again, may keep them from seeing how they really feel. And thus, when they try and apply the secret, they use their ego, and they program themselves, they force themselves, they trick themselves into trying to think a certain way, and that never works.
Right.
Here's a big one, and this is overarching, but most people in the energy realm don't understand energy balancing versus energy removal, which is evolution. They don't know the difference, and it's a big deal.
Okay.
Acupuncture is energy balancing. Qigong, for the most part, is energy balancing.
Well, yoga.
Yoga is energy balancing, yes. Right. And we think those are great, and we strongly suggest them, but we think it's important for you to understand what they're doing. What we do with the ecosystem approach, there's very little balancing, almost no balancing. It's about removing that 80%. And there's so much of it that you're always in a state of imbalance because you continuously, constantly, and specifically are removing that negative energy.
Well, and the other thing is when you start removing the negative energy, then you can decide for you what you need in the moment to get through the moment. We'll say it that way.
Right.
And that's not always an easy thing.
When you have 80% in your essence already,
right,
the idea of energy balancing doesn't make a lot of sense to me personally, because you've got to get rid of that 80%. There's so much potential that's been squelched because of that 80%.
Right.
So here's the other thing, superstition. And we see this all the time.
Yes.
If you use crystals, gems, and I'm not picking on those things because I know they have energy and they can be useful, or altars and symbols to make things happen in a specific time in a specific way. That becomes superstition, because energy, and we see this because of our interpretation, but energy is not specific. It's very non-specific.
Right.
If you want to clear for better relationships, that really works. If you want to take a gem to make a specific guy fall in love with you at a specific time, that kind of makes my hair on the back of my neck rise, because it may not work.
Well, wait a minute.
Because we don't know who that guy is. Do you even know who you are?
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you know? I mean, it makes it sound like it's a form of voodoo or magic, and we think energy work often when you're using it feels like magic, because it's all like, oh my gosh, these things are happening,
and it feels really good. But also, we also know that energy work is not a formula. We know that it's not an equation. This plus this equals this. That isn't the way it works. And by the way, life doesn't work that way.
You can't rub a rabbit's foot 5 times and get a certain result. But on the other hand, if you apply the ecosystem approach constantly and consistently, good things start to happen to you in all sectors of your life, not just specifically where you're going.
And it's phenomenal, because what happens is that your essence is not fighting as much negative energy to get the things that you need and want.
Patricia, I know that for us right now, we're so much clearer about who we are, what we want, where we're going.
Yes.
And it's so much different than it was when we first started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But so let me give you some more stories here.
Okay.
We had a client, I remember this guy, he made a really bad decision, and he said to me, "Why did you let me do that?" As if I should have, thrown my body in front of him and stopped him from doing whatever he was going to do. We don't work that way. And I had another client recently who said, "Well, I'm going to trust you." I was telling her what I see, and she said, "Oh, well, I'm going to trust you." I said, "No, I don't want you to trust me. If you can go inward and say, is this the right thing for me to do?"
In other words, learn how to trust yourself.
Yes, and then do it, and then take the responsibility. See, the truth is, we don't it's not a black and white thing. It's like an on-off switch that we
Okay.
can trust ourselves, we can't trust ourselves.
Okay.
There's a huge learning process in between. So as we start clearing and applying the ecosystem approach, we use that learning process and say, "Oh, I'm going to try this," and then we'll see what the result is. Maybe some of it's good, some of it's bad, and then we learn.
Yeah.
And then we clear some more, and then we learn some more. That's how it works.
So talk about conspiracy theories, Jason.
Oh, that's a biggie. So one of the big conspiracy theories out there is what they call the anti-vaxxers. And frankly, you know, we have a resistance to vaccines just because, you know, we're very aware of the toxic load, you know, and so we have anti-vaccine leanings. But I know that this fall I'm going to get a flu shot, and when there's an acceptable
Vaccine.
for COVID, I'm going to get that too.
Okay.
And because, you know, I know at the place where we are right now is that there are so many factors that affect your immune system. And we try and do natural things to help our immune system, but I don't know for a fact that they will all work the way they're supposed to. We don't know that. So, you know, the conspiracy theories, they're talking about taking away your personal freedoms. Well, okay, maybe they are, but, you know, this is how we take a practical approach in terms of all these things out there. How does that help me? If I'm dead, that takes away my personal freedom right there. Or
Yeah,
if I
that's
have, you know, a long-term side effect of COVID-19.
Exactly. So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Most of us will default to programming because it's been our training and it's invisible. It's easier to let someone else tell us what to do, which is programming, than to figure it out on our own, which is the ecosystem approach. Energy approaches do not have a clear focus on evolution and developing energy inner resources. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to prioritize the development of those things that can truly help you.
Love it. In the next segment, we're going to talk about how we navigate the world with conspiracy theories and false claims. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Are you ready to put down that drink or drug for good? Are you struggling to maintain your recovery from addictive behaviors? Do you need help with a family member or loved one who's in early recovery or battling addiction? Get the help and guidance you need by arranging a Recovery Recharged phone session with me, Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx, certified life and recovery coach. Call 1-800-889-1757. Make an appointment today or go to my website, pushybroadfromthebronx.com, and click on the link that says Recovery Recharged. Don't wait. Get the help you need today. This is Ellen Stewart, Pushy Broad from the Bronx on TransformationTalkRadio.com.
Yeah, yippee skippy to that, baby. We're not done yet. Some of us are out here to educate and inspire. This year, 2020, is the year we gotta show me the money in the cash flow. I'm Dr. Pat. This is the Dr. Pat Show. This is Talk Radio to Thrive By.
Visit thedrpatshow.com.
The vibration of change, that magical place where life shifts from struggle to ease, from stagnation to forward movement, from old ways of being to new ways of becoming. If you're like I am, it can be rather elusive to get there, but when you are in it, you feel it down to your very core, don't you? And it can positively affect everything in your life, from your relationships to your health and well-being, from your career path to your abundance. From the quality of that inner connection to the fullness of your self-expression. On the Christine Upchurch Show, we explore ways to get into that vibration of change with experts in the fields of consciousness, psychology, spirituality, health, healing, and science. Join me, Christine Upchurch, every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on KKNW AM 1150 and Transformation Talk Radio, and learn new ways to step into your vibration of change.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how we navigate the world with conspiracy theories and false claims. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason. Over the years, many clients have told us about energy processes and healing approaches. And can you explain how we choose and determine what to use?
Well, we use our evolution, and with our intuition, we talk about it between ourselves, and then we do research for objective evidence, and then we interpret that evidence with the wisdom and judgment that comes from using the ecosystem approach. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is this is a nerdy thing. I'm going to use the term. It's called opportunity cost. But what it means is that if you have 1 hour a day to apply some of these energy techniques, and you're applying it in doing things that let's say you take 45 minutes a day doing things that don't really remove any of that 80%. I would question how effective that is, and if that's the most important part. Most people come to us and say, all these, they tell us about all these great energy things. And there's no doubt that they have benefit and value. But what's the most important part? And again, go back to our show about the discovery, because that 80% is what's really in your way for almost everything in your life, whether it's relationships, money, health, and just well-being. So that's where you focus. And that's how we evaluate other energy processes, because we spend most of our time applying the ecosystem approach now, even today, and we're going to continue that until the day we die. Exactly. I know that for both of us. So,
well, I want to go back to something. You said that we use our evolution with our intuition, and we talk about it, and then we do research for objective evidence. So I want to go back to just a small story. When I very first met Jason, he told me that I was lacking in objectivity. And so I shook my head and I was trying to act like I knew what he was talking about. And I'll be honest with you. I know I've talked about this before, but the truth is I didn't know what objectivity was. And so as soon as I got out of his sight, the first thing I did was I went and found a dictionary and looked up the word objectivity. Well, okay, it told me what objectivity was, but I truly didn't know how to apply it. But I admit, I didn't want to go back to him and say, can you help me with this one? And by the way, I know I'm not alone in this type of thing. But my point that I'm trying to get at here is I went back to the dictionary 7 times and looked up the definition of objectivity. But it didn't tell me how to apply it or where to apply it, when to apply it. It didn't tell me anything like that.
And that takes wisdom. The opposite is true. Patricia's a very emotional person, so that's why I did it. She's just, I was saying that. But I've seen the reverse also. People who think they're so objective, they can be so objective that they're not objective at all.
Exactly.
And people don't understand that, because when you're trying to be so black and white or deal with facts only,
just facts, ma'am,
you miss so many things.
In other words, we're not just one thing.
Exactly. So you can be so objective that you're completely emotional. Yeah. And I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but we've seen it. When yes. people are so objective, they're completely emotional.
Exactly.
And I want to talk about, again, this conspiracy theories about COVID-19 and the anti-vaxxing thing. So we made the decision, I was going to get the flu shot this year because my mom lives with us. She's 90 years old. Mm-hmm. We know that the flu or COVID-19 could literally take her out.
Right.
So if we get an additional benefit, give it a different additional protection for her by us taking the flu shot and even in some sort of COVID-19 vaccination, it makes sense to us. We may have a different evaluation if she wasn't living with us, but
our situation,
it makes sense. But we still use vitamin C, zinc, vitamin D, quercetin. We use colloidal silver. We do clearing all the time. That's our first go-to. We do exercises. We know all those things are not guarantees, and there's a whole confluence of factors that make you susceptible or not susceptible to COVID-19. And we did a whole series of shows about that. That susceptibility, you maybe have a good immune system 3 hours a day, but then something happens, and then all of a sudden your immune system is completely compromised, and then
or you get emotionally stressed by something, and it drops that shield of your immune system.
It's not one thing or the other.
Exactly, and that's the point. So, in other words, when you use, let's see, objectivity as a form of how to see your life, you remove the negative energies so you can be objective about what you're either doing or going to do.
And here's the other thing. It's not just, as we've applied the ecosystem approach for the last 20 years for ourselves, and we do it first for ourselves before we help other people with it.
Exactly.
All of our decisions and judgment are improved, not just in terms of energy and other energy scams and energy practices. It's for everything.
Right.
And that's the way it should be, because this approach is holistic in the truest sense of the word. And you can evaluate everything in the world this way, whether it's people, should I take this job? Should I marry this person? Should I divorce this person? Should I, how should I respond to my dogs? How should I respond to people around me? That all comes from a form of objectivity that comes from clearing and this evolution that we talked about in the last show.
And by the way, it works.
Yes.
The most important thing that it works. And we don't want to be your guru. We want you to be your own guru.
That's the most important part of the ecosystem approach.
Exactly.
We teach, we're not trying to say, hey, we know about energy, listen to us. We're trying to say, hey, that knowing is inside of yourself, and we'll help you uncover it. We'll get you started. We'll kind of move you in the right direction. But it's up to you to be your own guru, which is the way you were designed in the first place.
Right. Because most of us don't have time or the energy to go climb on a mountaintop and sit there.
Yes.
I don't have that kind of time.
And contemplate your navel or
whatever.
The meaning of the universe.
Yes, I don't have that kind of time. All right. So, Jason, what are the key points? Is that where we're at?
Yep.
Yes, we are. Okay.
We use a holistic approach to false claims and conspiracy theories. We are always practical in our evaluations with energies and healing modalities. And negative energy in your essence interferes with good judgment and clarity. And the ecosystem approach helps you evolve and creates a frame for evaluating everything in your life.
Okay. So, Jason, are we going to tell everyone how to do the ecosystem approach and use the clearing?
Yes, here we go.
Okay.
So you don't have to have any specific posture. You can stand, sit, lie down, doesn't matter.
You can do it while you're driving, but I don't recommend closing your eyes.
Exactly.
Just saying.
So, and as we say, and to eliminate, take what we say to eliminate, whether it's veils and illusions, whether it's specific emotions, gather those up in your body and blow them into a trash can. Now, if you have a trash can where you are, you can use that. If you're driving, you can use your mind's eye, your imagination to create a trash can, or go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and we have a place. If you sign up for our free subscription service, there's a place there where you can see what we call the processor, which is our trash can on steroids, and that processes all the negative energy and makes it into neutral.
Right. I just want to say I happened to show my nephew for the first time. He had never seen the processor. And by the way, he was really fascinated by the clearing. And he said, oh my gosh, he said, if it were me, I'd put a huge engine on the back of this and make it just turbocharged. Well, of course, that's his way of saying he really liked what he saw, and he used it, which was fantastic. So I was very, very, very pleased with that one. So thank you to my nephew when he listens to the show. So, Jason, anything else that we need to talk about for this segment?
You're going to tell them how to use creative energy.
Oh, pardon me. One of the most important parts here. So, when we're done doing the clearing, then we're going to activate life force energy, life force creator energy. And this energy is the most powerful energy in the world. And what we're going to do is we're going to call upon it. We're going to have it come in through the top of our head. It's pure, by the way, and it comes in, and we're going to have it go all the way down our torso and our arms, all the way down our legs to the tips of our toes. We're going to stop it right there. We're going to turn it around because it is the most powerful energy. It's going to remove negative energy that's been left over, because Lord knows there's enough of it out there and in us, and we're going to remove it by blowing out negative air, just like that. And then we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about things and call upon them. So with that said, stay tuned when we come back. We're going to help you be your own guru and clear for more inner resources. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Kimberly Carlson, and I would love for you to tune into All In Healing Radio, where together we will begin to experience health, happiness, and harmony in all areas and aspects of life. Join us every first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. on transformationtalkradio.com. All In Healing will help you release layers of negative beliefs and energies for radiant health, deep joy, and greater abundance. Visit me at KimberlyCarlson.com.
Are you your story? Or can you change your story? Can you change what you believe to be true about yourself and your circumstances as part of your healing journey? What if you were to change your expectations? What if you were to invite ease and cooperation into every day and then step back and see what happens? It might just be easier. I'm Megan Edge, and I hope that you'll join me on my new radio show, Playing on the Edge, Radical Change with Ease, with my co-host Dr. Pat on Transformation Talk Radio. I look forward to seeing you there.
Want to find out more about Megan Edge? Visit her website at meganedge.ca.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Hey, how's it going? If it's stressful or just plain exhausting, New Light Living is here to ask, is this the way you want to live? Join me, your intuitive spiritual life coach and host, Ulrika Sullivan, every week on New Light Living. Discover the power of creative tools to start living every day as your ideal dream day. See your life in the new light. To learn more, visit newlightliving.com.
This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to help you be your own guru and clear for more inner resources. I just want to say that this is my favorite part of the show because I know that this makes a difference in people's lives.
So here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the frenzy, anxiety, and stress that keeps me from my internal resources and knowing. Gather up that frenzy, anxiety, and stress.
Take a breath.
Blow it into that trash can with a processor.
Taking the breath in is gathering up that negative stuff. Blowing it out is blowing out that negative energy. So, with that said, and to eliminate the anger, hate, and rage, bitterness that blocks my perceptions and my intuition. Take a breath. Blow it out.
And to eliminate my fears and anxieties that block my consciousness and evolution.
Take a breath. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see, this is really important, the scams, the false claims, and even the superstition. I release and let go of it right now. Take a breath. Blow it out.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can focus on my own inner resources versus looking to the experts, which is what sets you up to be scammed in the first place.
Take a breath.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see, I already know the answers. They just haven't been uncovered yet. Take a breath. And I'm going to add something to that. Blow it out. And to eliminate the blocks that are keeping me from the hope and the clarity that I need so that I can know I can do this. I can make my life better. Take a breath. Blow it out.
And to eliminate the false belief that I can program myself better than by using my inner resources. That's the biggest misconception. That's the biggest scam out there right now. Take a breath.
Take a breath. You mean if I use this makeup, I'll look 50 years younger?
Well, there's all sorts of them.
Well, that's the one that came to mind for me. All right. And to eliminate the veils and illusions. So there is negative energy, and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see the negative energy attached to me and how it creates susceptibility to scams. Take a breath. Blow it out.
And to eliminate my difficulty trusting my internal resources versus programming methods.
Oh, my. Versus going inside using my own resources.
And to eliminate clearing myself, seeing myself as a machine that needs to be programmed versus an involved human being that can know on its own. Take a breath.
Love that one.
Let's activate life force.
You ready for that one?
Yeah.
Here we go.
And to activate life force so that I can have hope, that I can have the ability to see through the scams and false claims.
Take a breath.
Take a breath.
Let that come in through the top of your head. Remember, it's the most powerful energy we have access to. Let it go all the way down your body to the tips of your toes. Turn it around and let it help you remove negative energies that you're holding on to. And to activate life force so I can trust that real growth and evolution will help me evaluate other processes. Take a breath. Easy. In through the top of your head, all the way to the tips of your toes. Blow out any negative energies standing in your way that are keeping you from that clarity.
And to activate life force so I can have the determination to create evolution for myself by developing my inner resources starting now. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can be happy, healthy, strong, have clarity, awareness, and objectivity, and knowing, and the ability to be able to choose objectively what is in my highest and best interest now and in the future. Take a breath. Pull that in through the top of your head. Let it go all the way to the tips of your toes. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
We're going to talk. So we've been talking about the story, and just to review, and it's not just to review. I know there's people out there that can relate to this story. That that you're here to do something really important. You know that there's something special about you, but maybe you're stuck. Maybe you've been trying things off and on over the years, and you say, that stuff doesn't work. This is for you, because the ecosystem approach was the culmination of my search. I knew I was here to do something special, but I didn't know what. And then I spent 25 years just running into walls and trying this and trying that, and knowing every time that I tried something, it didn't work. And I figured, well, it must be me. There must be something really wrong with me. And then I started using my intuition. Then I started to go inside, and we've created this ecosystem approach not by a teacher or reading some ancient text and trying to interpret it, but by going directly to the source of this information and seeing that the creator left this blueprint of how we work.
And he left it in us.
In us.
Each and every one of us.
For all of us to see.
Yes.
And all that we're doing is saying, oh, hey, look at this, And that's what the ecosystem approach is. We don't want you to put us up on a pedestal and make us your guru. We want to put yourself up on a pedestal. And if this resonates with you, this idea that whenever you go outside of yourself and look for an expert to tell you what to do, or a guru, or some sort of successful person to say, oh, well, I did it this way, and then you can do it the same way.
I use this formula.
Yes. If you've tried that already and it doesn't really work for you, you've got to try the ecosystem approach. You've got to listen next week when we talk about the specific nuts and bolts about what this ecosystem approach is all about. It is so amazing. And, what we want you to do is go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and we have a free subscription area that includes weekly clearing statements. So if you go and sign up for our free subscription area, you make sure that box is checked for the weekly clearings. You can get started now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to pay anything. It's completely free. You can do it on your own. This gets you started. And next week, we're going to talk about how the nuts and bolts of the ecosystem approach and how it's so effective, even though it's really simple.
Well, it is really simple, but I want to be a form of an advertisement. I not only use the ecosystem approach every single day. Yes, absolutely. But I also know that it works. It changed my life. And I uncovered so many things that were in my way, but it also saved my life. And I am a true believer. I am a true user of what we're talking about. And so is Jason. It has made such a difference, not only in our lives, but our children's lives, and of course, all the lives of our clients and many others. So use what we've put out there. This is an amazing, amazing thing to have in your pocket, so to speak.
And truly, it's not a system outside of yourself.
No,
it's a system to help you uncover that amazing potential that's already there.
Yes.
And to make it useful, make it work, make it be a part of the world.
Okay, so Jason, how can I get more information and real support for the ecosystem approach?
Go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org. You can sign up for our free section. We also have a free course that we've created for COVID-19. This is free information. It's all there. You can listen, take bits and pieces when you want. It's an amazing, it's amazing content. It's all free. Do the clearings.
Okay, so where do they go?
Theecosystemapproach.org.
Oh, I see. Okay, and what about the Facebook thing?
We have a
the Facebook thingy.
The Facebook thingy. We have a page on Facebook, theecosystemapproach.org. We also always preview the week before our next show.
Okay.
And please go there and like us. If you have a question, you can welcome to post. And we like those likes, so please do that.
Okay. And then we'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.